Wicked, wicked, wicked.
You just feel really calm at the fully lengthened.
Wicked, wicked, wicked.
The longest road is probably consistency over time.
Wicked, wicked, wicked.
And this goes on, there's no telling what could happen. There's no telling what could come out of my mouth. A lot of people when they're like, it's like I think that people should, not everybody, it's not going to appeal to everybody, but like guys who are like older like me, like just getting into lifting and, or like older and like they need to get warmed up a lot before they train. You can't just jump into like a fucking 6-plate leg press and fucking 2-plate squat, or do you know what I mean? It's like I believe in like getting a lot of blood into an area before to kind of alleviate those like knee issues people have, ankle issues, like they're tight when they first start. So like why not just flood the area with blood and get lots of fluid in there and just get everything moving before we go and demand a lot from the body, right? So even when people do this one leg thing, you see a lot of guys set up and they're just like latched into here and they're just swinging their foot up, which is gonna get hamstring. This is literally like hamstring for dummies. You can't fuck this up. That's why they designed it like this, right? To take the thinking out of it for people. So it's forcing you to be engaged in your glute pretty much and kicking from your heel, right? And some guys are here and they're kind of just flexing up and they're not engaging their glute up high in their hamstring. But if you lean to the side that you're working on and leave this side loose, I'm creating a more direct line. So my pressure's on my elbow and my weight is on this right side and I'm flexing up through. So I'm able to release and hold on my hamstring and flex back up, which ends up making me kind of torque, but I'm leaning on the side that I'm curling. So I'm creating a straight line of pressure with the leg that I'm curling with, right? So it's the same thing with left. Oh shit. It's like if I'm gonna do this side to warm up, I'm gonna get myself in a position where I'm locked on hamstring here, and then I'm leaning towards the left side. So I'm not so based in the center where I'm flexing and it's like, I don't really know where I'm squeezing. Here I'm like straight in line, weights down on this elbow, weights in that heel, and I'm flexing up through. So I can be free here. I wouldn't want to be, but this is my balance. And I can rock my weight forward into the curl, catch, curl. Almost like a hanging preacher curl with a supported elbow. It's like we talked about before, just swinging up. I wouldn't want to be here curling like that. I want to be in line with the weight. So I'm creating as less shearing force as possible. It's just flexing and rolling on muscle. So there's a lot of people in the gym, you guys have to improvise when there's people here taking up machines. Like I wanted to start with quad, but there's 2 people on the quad machines I want, so I'm not gonna go over there and work in because I don't want to. And it's like, I can just do my hamstrings before. So I'll get my hamstrings nice and full, bring a lot of blood to my knee and my hamstring, my hips moving, and then just go again. Then I can move on to quad. But a lot of people, I'll set them up so they're here, so they're engaged in their back and they're locked down in their lats, almost flexed into their back. So I'm a straight line now with my feet. There's no bracing and arching and pulling my back. My back is locked down in line with my hamstrings and my butt, and I'm rolling through. So I'm scooping long and squeezing long. So the tension of my feet pulls me back up to this position of being straight, and then I rock through. I don't stay here, I don't come here and go in this pulling where I'm just yanking my feet up. I have tension the whole time and I slide up through in that position. So this tall position never changes. It's just my hip driving forward and rocking up through. So when my feet are up, my head is down. When my head is up, my feet are down. And this is my axis point. My axle is here, I'm moving up, my axius is here, moving up and down, right? So I'm teeter-tottering back and forth. So you see a lot of people, they'll wrench, they think since your hip's up like that, and your butt's up in the air and you should stay down on those handles that are low, and then they just swing up, and they always get little pulls and little tweaks in their hamstring because you're creating this angle where it's like I'm coming out of a hole like this, where I could be straight and rocking. I could be, this is my head, this is my foot, I could be here and up, and then down. up, which is better than that, right? That's not an efficient, that's not a smooth line. That's like, it's an environment and creating an environment for shit to go wrong, right? And it's like if you see me doing this, it looks like I'm moving quick, like I'm just rocking, because I don't need to flex my hamstring to contract my hamstring. I just need to swing my heel up, and if the tension's out there, it's gonna grab hamstring. I don't need to consciously think about flexing my hamstring, which is everything in bodybuilding has become that. Everyone's broken it down to like, I get myself in a position and then I'm as tight as I can be in that position, whether it's fucking back movements or everything. They don't understand that the motion, the actual motion of pulling your hand and lifting your chest and driving up will engage your back. You don't have to engage your back to feel your back. On certain exercises, yes. But like if I'm doing an overhead motion or something in front of me, I'm driving my shoulder down and I'm lifting my chest up driving. So here I'm I'm using my momentum, I'm squeezing my foot up, letting it back down. I'm squeezing up, let it back down. So as soon as it comes up, drop, drop. It's the same analogy if I did this with my bicep where I was here the whole time and I just flexed this fucking slow and I let down that fucking slow. Would my bicep ever move properly? Or would it be locked in a certain pathway and not being able to just be free and move up through things, right? So a lot of people will convince you that doing things slowly and in this fashion, in this like over flexing, over contraction thing is like intelligent. It's the opposite of intelligent. It's not intuitive training at all. It doesn't make any sense. Like the body, it's like even if you took the back, let's say for instance, the back is a dynamic body part. It has many different muscles. It moves in many different directions to hit those muscles, whether it's around, down in, opening up and closing in. So to think that you can lock it into a position and then pull into just that and hit just certain aspects of your back without over engaging upper portions, even if you create an angle where I'm here and I pull the weight into me, I'm not getting full extension. That is not full extension of my lat. That's full extension of my lat. You can see it. And to get back into it is fine. But to just be here, you're working to like a half, maybe a quarter of the motion of your back. And then wondering why your back's only developed a quarter or a half. Because you don't move it. You don't allow it to move through a dynamic range of motion that it's designed to move through. It's like, it's really hard to just isolate a lat. Unless you want to get overweight and just rock up through lat, which is entirely possible. But even then, the drop has to equate to the pull for me to really get length. Because just as much of the length of something is as important as the pull. So if you negate the length and only do the pull, I'm only getting half the range. So like, it's the same with hamstrings. It's the same with everything. Like locking down and being stiff creates stiff, locked down physiques that don't do anything when they're posed. The person looks the same standing here as they do when they put their arms up, as they do when they hit this shot, as they do when they hit this shot, because they don't understand that it's a sequence of movement. It's muscle moving together to create poses, to create flexing, right? It's like you can't think that this is the tightest, I have to be as tight as possible to hit a muscle. It's so wrong. I'll debate anybody on that. Anybody in the world wants to debate me on that and come here and train and show me what they think, I'm all ears. I'll be here all day. Most important part of this lift, of staying neutral and rocking up and down, using my feet as my swing point, is like if I come up here, I can't drop fast and pull up. It doesn't work that way. You have to learn how to contract your hamstring and hold it tight, right? So I'm rolled through, my hamstring tension pulls me up, I reach out and I drive through. I drive through. The most important thing on this lift is your ability to control the down. It's not how much you can pull up. It's how much I can control the down. My hamstring brings my body up and I roll through again. Whereas guys think it's just, I just pull it up to my butt and you see the pad rolling, 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 and nothing's happening. You'll see it in like guys that are top pros training with people who are fucking gurus or whatever. And like, they're just yanking the muscle, yanking it up, letting it drop, yanking it up, letting it drop. And you're wondering why your hamstring's not developing. Because the negative portion of the lift, like on every other fucking lift, is the most important in terms of breaking down muscle fiber. it's the best way to do it, right? It's to control the negative portion. Doesn't mean you have to go slow. It just means you have to know that you're controlling on muscle and letting back up, right? So a lot of people on this machine, they'll sit back and they think that because this angle up is here that I'm just trying to get as much flexion as I can, almost like I'm trying to hyperextend my leg and kick up high, right? Because of this angle that we created. But a lot of people, if you try this, I guarantee you'll feel it more. So if I lean away from the side that I'm gonna do one leg on, and I dig the back of my hamstring into this pad here, which is the design, so it feels like my foot's being pulled under, I'm gonna create a straight line with my leg so I'm not flapped open. I'm kind of here and engaged, and I have my hip up a bit. So the tension's now down all the way in my shin. It can't be anywhere else because I have to reach under to grab to swing off here to kick, right? So when I go to roll, I'm not gonna kick up straight because I can't get it squeezed. I'm gonna roll and flex. So I'm gonna move that leg inward and almost kick out and lean to the side that I'm already swayed to, right? So I'm able to rock up. If I did it here, it'd be too hard. Like I can pin down here, but it's like shearing on my knee, whereas here I'm moving through and I'm flexing up into upper quad too. So I'm pushing off there. I'm not kicking from here. I'm digging to here and off foot. So this is my pressure point. My foot's kicking like it's kicking a soccer ball. So I'm real low on the kick and riding up. I'm not trying to come up right away like this. I'm trying to move. I'm trying to drive through. So I'm pushing my shin through that pad and sweeping out and flexing on quad. So right here, I'm trying to flex quad and flex my foot out. I'm not trying to just lift my leg up and down, right? So the more that you create this feeling of your hip up a bit, it takes this feeling of like locking down in here out and puts pressure down on your foot. So it's almost counterintuitive. You think it would tense here more, but it's helping me get more angle, more leverage on the foot plate, on the foot pad, so that I can squeeze up and move across. So there's not a huge rock, it's just that. My shin's almost lifting like that and squeezing up through. So I can lock here if I choose. Whereas if I did it here, it would be like pressure, right? Here I'm able to squeeze up into my quad. Roll, I release, squeeze, squeeze up. Just like little tips you can, little kind of cues and stuff you can do to make these machines more effective, right? Because everyone's seen it. They see these people sit here and they're like, and don't get me wrong, it's gonna train quad, it's not wrong. It's just another way to do it that I'm maximally squeezing and sending tension up to the top of my quad. My whole quad's working, not just down low or the meat of my quad that people grab on, right? I got into it with this kid on TikTok, just arguing like progressive overload, and then he's telling me it works because his weight went up 13 kilograms over a year period because his leg press went up 200 or 300 pounds. So there's a direct correlation between your leg press ability going up and your weight. Like you couldn't have just got fat. None of the other, that's all you did. I was like, how much weight did you gain per pound lifted? It's like you tell people things that like go against their bullshit views in this sport, or the stuff that's been ingrained in them by people who are fucking. That's not an insult. But it's just like you start like breaking down those walls and those like ideas in their brain of like what they think they've figured out, and they want to fight you on it. Like they'll resist you so hard. It's like in what's that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio where they're in the dream? Inception. When you start acting outside of like the way people think you should in your dream world, that your conscious turns on you. It's like that. You're the person walking through their dream world who's just like not welcome. It's crazy. So a lot of people, the point I wanted to make is when people are lifting, they're so concerned about the weight on their back that they're resisting this weight. And then they're sitting with it and they don't want to get it, they want to get it off them and they push up, and that's why you see like these wobbles or these like their people's legs kind of jerk out or in. It's because you're not thinking of putting the weight down into your feet. So I'm not thinking about this weight. Yes, my weight's sitting on me, but I'm allowing this weight, I'm allowing my feet to open and my feet to stretch apart to be able to hold this weight steady, and I can settle and I push through my feet and jump up. So you'll never see me hitch when I come through things, because I'm strong down into my feet, I'm forcing the weight down, I'm using that weight and driving off my feet to come up. So there's never this like stopping halfway thing, you know what I mean? I'm just letting my weight push down into my feet. I'm literally pushing my weight down into my feet and then using that and driving off. So I'm pushing that pad down. I'm not trying to pump, 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 pump. And once you get into that understanding of putting weight down into the pad, then you can get into like the faster rhythms, right? The same thing here, when people take the weight off, like a lot of people when they take this weight off, their weight's not back already. They're pushing the weight out and then they're trying to get themselves like in position, right? It's like, think about when I push off, it's the same when I bench, I'm set myself back. So the weight's pinning me into the seat. So I have a flat lower back. I don't have any arch, I'm just tall. And I'm letting the weight, I let it break and sit into my legs so it sinks my hips. So I don't have to think about, I don't have to come from a straight leg and go, and let it drop like, you know what I mean? Like I'm just gonna let my hips set. Now I'm braced and I'm pushing back into my hips like up near the top of my back. And when the weight comes at me, I'm literally just gonna push knees up and let feet catch and throw up. So if my feet heels end up lifting a bit, it's okay because the weight's here. I'm not trying to fight here and my heels come up and then I push through my back. It's like, no, I'm just letting myself come up high and driving. So it's almost lifting me up and I'm pushing down. So I hold myself in the seat and drive. So when I feel that calf touch that hamstring, I drive through my feet and lock out. So it's always this feeling of knee coming up and knee pushing down. It's not a matter of feet catching and this, it's knee comes up, feet catch it, and then I straighten my leg out through my feet. There's a sequence of the movement, right? The lower you go, the harder it's gonna be, or the easier it's gonna be to get depth. The higher you go, it's impossible, right? You should have so much control, not that this is like heavy, but you should be able to expand and lift and let this settle here and push when you're ready. That's how much control I have of the weight, right? Whether it's just 3 plates or 7. This transfer from here to here of driving through quad and pushing is the difference between people who have great legs and people who have stick legs, right? The stick leg guys are gonna do this. They're gonna come here and go. And it's just like catching the weight, pushing it away. Whereas I want the weight to mold into me, and I want to flex it away from me. And on leg press, it's like I used to be guilty of it too. It's just like people would get their feet where they have the most like ability to lock down their hip and like brace themselves, and then just like release enough and then push away, like thinking that like the load and like you just supporting it on your quad for like minimum amount of time is enough to create growth. It's like, you guys don't understand, like on any press motion, it's the flexion of the knee, right? So it's like if my knee only bends to here and pumps up, like what am I stimulating in quad? I'm just locked in hip, I'm just pressing up. Whereas if I let that weight come at me and I throw that weight away, I'm catching and throwing, right? So I'm on muscle. Yes, I have to support on joint, on hips and knees and everything like that, but there's more of a feeling of like the weight coming into your body and using that inertia to throw it away. It's the same analogy as like half bench pressing. So if I only come to here and then guys are like, well, my chest isn't complete. Well, you don't get full range. Not that you can't get a big chest that way, of course you can, but is it fully developed? Is it like a 3D body part? Probably not, unless it's like genetically you're gifted with a great chest shape. But it's the same thing with leg press. Like I'll see guys on, they're fucking plated out up here and plated out up here, and they're fucking go, 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 and they're like, they move the distance of the path is 4 inches. As opposed to like, it's supposed to go 10. So like, this full range of motion, it's it's a kick in the ego for a lot of guys. So like, oh, I'm not growing. It's like, yeah, but you're moving at you're moving a heavier load for you being able to move in a full range of motion. So it's completely different than if I just came here and like you see these guys are up here and they're locking, and they're like, like so many of you watching know you do that. Like it's just, and it's like ass is dug in, pushing those feet away, no bend in my knee whatsoever. And that's fucking heavier than doing it down here the right way. Because you're like, this weight is like coming, like dropping onto your whole body. And it's like my knees are in this weak position where they can't get higher. The only thing that can happen is my foot can go lower. So that's why when you press here and you're high, you feel like this, when you get here, it's like this panic, like, ugh, because the knee can't go any higher. It's stuck, so now there's tension. I gotta push off these tight knees because the knee can't bend. Like, and surprisingly, like contrary to popular belief, guys, your knee's supposed to bend when you work out. That's the whole point of it. And that's why a lot of you have knee pain, because you don't allow the knee to move. You don't allow the foot to flex. You don't allow the ankle mobility of the foot to bend back, the ankle to be free. It's just like my ankle isn't moving here at all. It's just, look at the bend in my foot. It's nothing. Nothing's happening. Whereas if I lock here where I want to be, and where like you're gonna have to drop the weight and feel like a big baby, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna push myself back. I'm gonna get myself up in the seat. And I'm gonna get myself tall. So I have room to move. The legs have room to fall into. If I'm here, they can't go anywhere. So if I'm here and I lift up and I let the weight come at me, I let this knee kick, I'm just up and drive. And again, there's 6 weights on there. I can come down here and pause and push. No effort. Because my knee is moving it's a hinge that's moving, the weight's in my feet. So I'm not spinning all the weight here. It's now in my feet and in my quads. Because I'm allowing my knee to get the fuck out of the way, right? Oosh. Ooh. 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 Ooh.